In a courtroom filled with tension, a young girl stood poised to reveal the truth that could shatter the lives of those around her. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation as the judge had ordered her father to relinquish custody, a decision that had already sent ripples through the community. What would unfold next was beyond anyone's imagination as the girl prepared to share her story, a story that held the power to redefine family bonds and expose deep-seated secrets. As the clock ticked down, the courtroom was a microcosm of societal struggles where justice and personal turmoil collided. The judge, a stern figure with years of experience, had seen countless cases, yet this one felt different. The father, a man grappling with despair, sat on one side, his heart visibly heavy with the weight of losing his daughter. On the other side, a mother filled with a mix of hope and dread awaited the testimony that could either cement her victory or lead to unforeseen consequences. The stakes were high and the air was electric with the unspoken fears of all involved. When the girl finally took the stand, her small frame contrasted sharply with the enormity of the situation. The room fell silent, and all eyes turned towards her, each gaze a blend of curiosity and concern. Her voice, though soft, carried a strength that belied her age. As she began to recount her experiences, the courtroom transformed into a theater of raw emotion. The words she spoke were not merely a recounting of events. They painted a vivid picture of her reality, one filled with both love and heartache. The audience listened intently, captivated by the unfolding drama that transcended mere legalities. What made this moment particularly significant was the girl's ability to articulate her feelings, drawing the court into her world. Her testimony was not just about her father or her mother. It was a reflection of the complexities of family dynamics and the often unseen battles children face. As she spoke of her fears and dreams, the impact of her words began to resonate with everyone present. It was a poignant reminder that the courtroom is not just a place for legal proceedings. It is a space where lives are irrevocably changed and truths are unearthed. The methodology of her testimony, a blend of courage and vulnerability, served as a powerful catalyst for the proceedings. It challenged preconceived notions and forced the judge, the lawyers, and the spectators to reconsider their perspectives. The emotional weight of her words lingered in the air long after she finished, prompting introspection among those who had come to witness a legal battle. The implications of her testimony were profound, not just for her immediate family, but for anyone who had ever grappled with the complexities of love, loyalty, and the quest for understanding. As the session drew to a close, the atmosphere in the courtroom had shifted dramatically. What began as a simple custody hearing had transformed into an exploration of deeper truths, leaving everyone questioning the very fabric of familial relationships. The girl's bravery had not only captivated the court, but had also sparked a larger conversation about the nature of love and the sacrifices made in its name. In that moment, the courtroom became a stage for a powerful narrative, one that would echo long after the gavel fell. The courtroom buzzed with an air of tension, the kind that clung to the walls like smoke. Sunlight streamed through the tall windows, illuminating the faces of those gathered, lawyers, witnesses, and onlookers, all drawn into the unfolding drama. At the center of this storm stood a man whose weary eyes told stories of sleepless nights and endless worry. He had fought tooth and nail to keep his daughter safe, but now, as the gavel echoed through the room, it felt as if the ground beneath him was crumbling. The judge, a stern figure with years of experience etched into his features, had made a decision that would change everything. The girl was to be taken away. As the man sat in disbelief, his heart raced with a mix of fear and desperation. He had always believed in the strength of their bond, a connection forged through shared laughter and whispered secrets in the dark. But the circumstances that had led them here were complex and tangled, a web of accusations and misunderstandings that had spiraled out of control. The girl, barely a teenager, had been thrust into the spotlight, her innocence overshadowed by the weight of the situation. She sat on the witness stand, her small frame trembling as she prepared to speak, the eyes of the courtroom fixed upon her. When she finally began to testify, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. Her voice, though soft, carried a power that resonated deeply within the hearts of everyone present. She spoke of moments that felt like a lifetime ago, recounting the laughter they shared during family outings, the warmth of her father's embrace, and the safety she had always felt in his presence. But then, as the questions became more probing, her demeanor changed. Tears welled in her eyes and the room fell silent, hanging on her every word. The truth she revealed was raw and painful, a stark contrast to the idyllic memories she had painted just moments before. It was a truth that left the court in shock, challenging preconceived notions and forcing everyone to confront the reality of their situation. The tension in the room was palpable as the judge listened intently, his expression shifting from stern to contemplative. He had seen countless cases in his career, but this one struck a chord that resonated deeply within him. The complexities of family dynamics, the struggles of a child caught in the crossfire, and the heartbreaking decisions that had to be made weighed heavily on his conscience. As the girl's voice faltered, the courtroom held its breath, each person grappling with the implications of her testimony. It was a moment of reckoning, one that would linger long after the gavel fell. Outside, the world continued to spin, oblivious to the turmoil contained within those four walls. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows that mirrored the uncertainty of the future. For the man who had fought so hard, the day had turned into a nightmare, and for the girl it was a pivotal moment that would shape her life forever. As the echoes of her words faded, the reality of their situation settled in, a reminder that sometimes the truth is more complicated than anyone could imagine. As you embrace your journey toward growth and connection, consider joining our vibrant community where inspiration meets action. By subscribing, you'll gain exclusive insights, share your thoughts, and connect with like-minded individuals who are eager to support each other. Don't miss out on the opportunity to elevate your experience. Comment below with your ideas, and let's ignite a conversation that fuels our collective passion. The courtroom was thick with tension as the gavel struck, signaling the beginning of a pivotal moment in a case that had captured the community's attention. At the center of the storm was a young girl, barely 12, who had been thrust into a world of legal battles and emotional turmoil. Her father, a man once respected in their small town, had been accused of unspeakable acts that shattered the family's image and left the community divided. As the judge ordered the girl to take the stand, a hush fell over the room, each eye fixed on her, waiting for the truth to unfold. As she approached the witness stand, the girl's small frame seemed to shrink under the weight of the accusations and the eyes of the onlookers. Her voice trembled as she began to recount her experiences, each word laced with a mix of fear and resolve. The courtroom, filled with lawyers, family members, and curious spectators, was engulfed in a palpable silence. What she revealed was heart-wrenching. Her testimony painted a picture of a fractured home, a father who had transformed from a loving protector to a figure of dread. The gravity of her words resonated deeply, not only illuminating the personal trauma she faced, but also reflecting broader societal issues surrounding child protection and familial trust. The significance of her testimony transcended the immediate case at hand. It served as a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities children face, especially in environments that should be their sanctuaries. As she spoke, it became evident that this was not just about her family. It was a call to action for the community to recognize the signs of abuse and the importance of safeguarding the innocent. The emotional weight of her words struck a chord with many present, igniting conversations about the responsibilities of parents and the imperative of creating safe spaces for children. The courtroom, once a sterile environment of legal proceedings, transformed into a crucible of truth, where the harsh realities of domestic life were laid bare. As the girl continued, the reactions in the room varied from disbelief to profound empathy. Some in the audience struggled to reconcile the image of the father they once knew with the monster described by his own daughter. This cognitive dissonance highlighted the complexities of familial relationships and the often hidden struggles that lurk beneath the surface. The judge, visibly moved, recognized the weight of her testimony and the responsibility that lay ahead in making a decision that would affect the lives of many. In that moment, the court became a microcosm of society, grappling with the difficult truths that often go unspoken. In the aftermath of her testimony, the case took on a new urgency. The implications of her words rippled through the community, prompting discussions about the need for better support systems for families in crisis. Organizations that focused on child welfare began to mobilize, advocating for stronger protective measures and resources for those in similar situations. The girl's courage in sharing her story not only shed light on her own plight, but also sparked a movement toward greater awareness and action, reminding everyone that the voices of the vulnerable must be heard and valued. In the end, her bravery became a catalyst for change, ensuring that her experience would not be in vain but rather a stepping stone toward a safer future for all children. The courtroom buzzed with an unsettling tension as the gavel struck, silencing the murmurs that echoed off the cold marble walls. It was a typical Tuesday morning, but for the families involved, this day would mark a turning point. The judge, a stern figure who had seen countless cases, looked over his glasses with a mixture of authority and concern. Today, he was tasked with making a decision that could change a young girl's life forever. As the judge ordered the removal of a child from her father's custody, the air grew thick with disbelief. The girl, barely 12, was about to take the stand, a moment that would expose the raw nerve of a society grappling with the complexities of familial bonds and the protection of its most vulnerable members. Statistics reveal that in the past year alone, Child Protective Services reported a staggering 700,000 cases of abuse in the United States, with many incidents going unreported. Each number represents a child, a story untold, and a future hanging in the balance. As the girl prepared to testify, the weight of her experience loomed large, not just for her family, but for a community that often turns a blind eye to the signs of distress. The urgency to understand the intricacies of child welfare and legal interventions has never been more critical. The courtroom was not just a place of justice. It became a battleground for truth, where the stakes were immeasurable. The core issue at hand was not merely the removal of a child, but the deep-seated fear that permeated the very fabric of family dynamics. The girl's testimony was not just a recounting of events. It was a revelation of the systemic failures that allowed her situation to escalate to this point. As she spoke, her voice trembled but grew stronger with each word. She described nights filled with fear, moments of isolation, and the desperate longing for safety. The shock that rippled through the courtroom was palpable as the audience grappled with the realization that many children suffer in silence, their cries unheard. The knowledge gap was stark. Many adults, including those in positions of authority, often fail to recognize the signs of trauma and the urgent need for intervention. In this moment, the narrative shifted. The girl's bravery illuminated the dark corners of a society that often overlooks the plight of children. The courtroom, once a place of judgment, transformed into a sanctuary of truth. The urgency to act was clear. The need for education on child welfare laws, trauma-informed care, and the importance of listening to children became paramount. As the girl concluded her testimony, the judge's expression softened, and a new resolve began to form within the hearts of those present. The case was no longer just about legalities. It was about humanity, compassion, and the collective responsibility to protect the innocent. As the gavel fell once more, signaling the end of the day's proceedings, the echoes of the girl's words lingered in the air. The urgency to understand and address these issues could no longer be ignored. The courtroom had become a reflection of society's conscience, a reminder that every child deserves a voice and every adult must listen. The time for change was now, and it began with the courage to confront uncomfortable truths. In a small, seemingly quiet town, a courtroom filled with anxious spectators awaited a pivotal moment. The atmosphere was thick with tension as the judge prepared to address a case that had captured the community's attention. At the heart of the matter was a young girl, caught in a tumultuous situation that no child should ever have to face. The judge had ordered her to be taken away from her father, a decision that sent ripples of disbelief through the room. The implications of this ruling extended far beyond the walls of the courthouse. They touched on the very essence of family, trust, and the protection of the vulnerable. As the girl took the stand, the weight of her testimony hung heavily in the air. Her small frame contrasted starkly with the enormity of the situation, and all eyes were fixed on her. The courtroom, usually a place of solemnity, felt charged with an electric anticipation. Everyone present understood that her words could alter the course of lives, including her own. The moment she began to speak, a hush fell over the crowd, and the gravity of her situation became painfully clear. It was not just a legal battle. It was a fight for her safety and well-being, a plea for understanding in a world that often turns a blind eye to the struggles of children. The young girl recounted her experiences with a bravery that belied her age. Each word she uttered peeled back layers of a complex narrative filled with fear, confusion, and a desperate longing for normalcy. Her innocence shone through even as she revealed the harsh realities of her life. The audience listened intently, their hearts aching for her plight. It became evident that this was not merely a case of custody, it was a revelation of deeper issues, including the responsibilities of parents and the systems in place meant to protect children. The courtroom, once a sterile environment, transformed into a space of empathy, where the community grappled with the uncomfortable truths laid bare before them. As her testimony unfolded, it became increasingly apparent that the stakes were high. The girl's words painted a picture of a fractured family, one where love had been overshadowed by fear and neglect. The judge, tasked with making a decision that would forever alter the lives of those involved, listened intently. The emotional weight of the testimony resonated deeply, compelling everyone present to confront their own beliefs about family dynamics and the role of the state in safeguarding children. It was a moment that demanded reflection, urging the community to consider what it means to protect the innocent. In the aftermath of her testimony, the courtroom buzzed with a mixture of shock and outrage. Questions arose about the adequacy of existing support systems for families in distress and the responsibilities of those in power. The case sparked discussions that extended beyond the immediate circumstances, prompting the community to examine its values and priorities. How could they ensure that children like her were shielded from harm? What changes were necessary to foster a safer environment for all families? The young girl had unwittingly become a catalyst for change, her voice echoing in the hearts of those who witnessed her bravery. Ultimately, the girl's testimony served as a reminder of the fragility of childhood and the critical importance of advocacy. It highlighted the need for vigilance in protecting the most vulnerable members of society. As the court proceedings continued, the community rallied around the girl, determined to support her and others like her. The case became more than just a legal matter. It evolved into a movement, igniting a collective commitment to ensure that no child would ever have to endure such pain in silence again. The courtroom buzzed with anticipation as the judge entered, a palpable tension filling the air. This case was unlike any other. It involved a father, a daughter, and the heart-wrenching decision to separate them. As the girl took the stand, the room fell silent. Her demeanor was calm yet resolute, a stark contrast to the emotional turmoil that had led them here. The methodology of her testimony was not merely about recounting events. It was a carefully structured narrative, designed to convey her truth. She began by outlining her experiences in a chronological manner, a technique that helped the court visualize the timeline of events leading to her current predicament. By breaking down her story into distinct phases, each marked by significant incidents, she provided clarity. For instance, she described a pivotal moment when she felt unsafe, detailing how her father's behavior shifted from protective to controlling. This strategy not only engaged the court, but also underscored the urgency of her situation, emphasizing the need for intervention. As she spoke, the impact of her words became evident. The courtroom, initially skeptical, began to shift in its perception. Her use of vivid imagery painted a picture that resonated deeply with the jurors. For example, she recounted a particular evening when she had locked herself in her room, her heart racing as she heard her father's footsteps outside. This emotional appeal was not just for sympathy, it was a calculated move to evoke a sense of urgency and concern among those present. The jurors leaned forward, their expressions reflecting a growing understanding of the gravity of her circumstances. In response to her testimony, the defense attempted to undermine her credibility, but she was prepared. She had documented her experiences meticulously, presenting evidence in the form of text messages and diary entries. This methodical approach fortified her claims, providing tangible proof that supported her narrative. The court was now not only listening, but analyzing, weighing the evidence against the backdrop of her heartfelt testimony. This dual strategy of emotional resonance, coupled with factual documentation, created a compelling case that could not be easily dismissed. As the proceedings continued, the judge took note of the girl's composure and the clarity of her narrative. He recognized the powerful impact of her testimony as a catalyst for change. The court had a responsibility to act in the best interest of the child, and her words were a clarion call for that action. The methodology of her testimony had transformed the courtroom atmosphere, shifting from one of skepticism to one of empathy and understanding. In the end, the ruling was not just a legal decision, It was a profound acknowledgement of the girl's courage and the necessity of her voice. The judge ordered that she be placed in a safe environment, away from the turmoil that had defined her life. This outcome was a testament to the effectiveness of her strategy, illustrating that when personal narratives are articulated with clarity and supported by evidence, they can lead to transformative results. The courtroom, once a place of conflict, became a sanctuary of hope, reminding everyone present of the power of truth and the importance of listening. In a courtroom that buzzed with tension, the atmosphere shifted dramatically as the young girl took the stand. Her small frame contrasted sharply with the weight of the situation, yet her voice carried a clarity that pierced through the air. The judge had ordered her removal from her father's custody, a decision that reverberated with implications far beyond the immediate case. As she began to testify, the room fell silent, hanging on her every word. It was not just the content of her testimony that shocked the court, it was the raw emotion and resilience she displayed, illuminating a complex narrative of familial bonds and societal responsibilities. Experts in child psychology often emphasize the importance of creating a safe space for children to express themselves, and this moment underscored that principle. The girl's courage to speak out highlighted the necessity for courts to prioritize the voices of minors, especially when their well-being is at stake. As the trial unfolded, it became evident that the legal system grappled with the delicate balance between parental rights and child welfare. The judge, acutely aware of the ramifications of his decision, sought to navigate this intricate landscape with sensitivity. Legal experts advocate for a multidisciplinary approach in such cases, where social workers, therapists, and legal professionals collaborate to ensure that the child's best interests remain at the forefront. This holistic strategy not only aids in understanding the nuances of each case, but also fosters a supportive environment that encourages children to share their truths without fear of retribution. The girl's testimony, laden with details that revealed the complexities of her home life, served as a catalyst for deeper discussions about the systemic changes needed within family court proceedings. It became clear that a mere punitive approach would not suffice. Rather, a framework that promotes healing and rehabilitation for both the child and the parent was essential. As the trial drew to a close, the implications of the girl's testimony resonated beyond the courtroom walls. The judge's ruling, influenced by her brave words, set a precedent for future cases involving child custody. It underscored the importance of listening to young voices and recognizing their agency in matters that profoundly affect their lives. The court's decision to prioritize her safety and emotional health over traditional notions of parental rights sparked a broader conversation about the evolving landscape of family law. Advocates for children's rights began to rally for reforms that would ensure ongoing support for children navigating similar situations, emphasizing that the legal system must adapt to reflect the realities of modern family dynamics. In the end, what transpired in that courtroom was not merely a legal decision, but a transformative moment that illuminated the power of testimony and the urgent need for systemic change. The girl, through her courage, became a beacon of hope, inspiring a movement toward a more compassionate and understanding approach to family law. The shockwaves of her words would echo far beyond that day, igniting discussions that could lead to a more just and empathetic society, where every child's voice is heard and valued. In a courtroom where emotions ran high, the atmosphere shifted dramatically as a young girl took the stand, her voice trembling yet resolute. The case had already garnered significant media attention due to its disturbing nature, centering around allegations of abuse and neglect. As she began to recount her experiences, the gravity of her testimony left the courtroom in stunned silence. Research indicates that children who face such traumatic experiences often struggle to articulate their pain, yet her clarity and courage were striking. According to experts in child psychology, the ability of a child to testify in such circumstances can be a vital step in the healing process, as it empowers them and validates their experiences. The judge, who had presided over numerous cases involving child welfare, understood the importance of the girl's testimony. Child welfare experts emphasize that testimony can serve as a crucial piece of evidence in determining custody and protective measures. For instance, a study published in the Journal of Child Psychology and Psychiatry highlights that children's voices should be integral to legal proceedings involving their welfare. The legal system has increasingly recognized that children are not merely passive victims, but active participants in their own narratives. This shift in perspective is vital, as it not only promotes justice, but also fosters a sense of agency among young individuals who have suffered trauma. As the girl shared her story, the courtroom was not just a place of legal proceedings. It became a space for truth and vulnerability. Her account revealed systemic failures that had allowed her situation to persist. Experts in child advocacy argue that such testimonies can catalyze change within the system, prompting reviews of policies and practices that affect vulnerable children. The emotional weight of her words echoed the findings of a report from the American Academy of Pediatrics, which states that children exposed to adverse childhood experiences are at a higher risk for long-term psychological issues. By bringing her truth to light, the girl was not only seeking justice for herself, but also shining a spotlight on a broader issue that affects countless others. The courtroom's reaction reflected a collective realization of the severity of the situation. Observers noted that the girl's bravery in speaking out could inspire others in similar circumstances to come forward. Research indicates that when children witness peers sharing their stories, it can significantly reduce feelings of isolation and shame, encouraging a culture of openness and support. This phenomenon aligns with findings from the Child Welfare Information Gateway, which emphasizes the importance of peer support in healing from trauma. The girl's testimony was not just a moment in a legal case, it was a pivotal moment that could influence societal perceptions of child abuse and the importance of listening to young voices. In the aftermath of her testimony, the judge made a decisive ruling, ordering that the girl be removed from her current living situation, a move supported by the evidence presented. Legal scholars note that such decisions are often fraught with complexity, requiring a careful balance between the rights of parents and the safety of children. The judge's ruling underscored a growing recognition that the welfare of the child must always come first, aligning with the principles outlined in the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, which advocates for the protection of children's rights worldwide. As the courtroom proceedings concluded, the implications of the girl's testimony resonated far beyond the walls of the courthouse. It served as a reminder of the urgent need for systemic change in how society addresses child welfare issues. The courage displayed by one young girl has the potential to inspire a movement that prioritizes the voices of children, ensuring that their stories are heard and that justice is served. In a gripping courtroom drama, the tension escalated as the case unfolded around a father's desperate bid to retain custody of his daughter. The stakes were high, with the judge's order to remove the girl from her home creating a palpable sense of urgency. The courtroom atmosphere shifted dramatically when the young girl took the stand, her testimony revealing layers of complexity that left everyone in attendance stunned. As she spoke, the raw emotion and depth of her experiences became evident, challenging preconceived notions and forcing the court to confront difficult truths. The girl's narrative was not just a recounting of events, it was a poignant reflection of her reality, filled with both fear and resilience. Her words painted a vivid picture of her life, shedding light on the dynamics that had led to the current situation. As she articulated her feelings and experiences, it became clear that her voice was not only critical to her own fate, but also to the understanding of the larger issues at play. The court, initially focused on legalities and procedural matters, found itself grappling with the profound implications of her testimony. This pivotal moment underscored the importance of listening to the voices of those most affected by the decisions made in the courtroom. As the proceedings continued, the reactions of the courtroom participants varied widely. Some were visibly moved, while others struggled to reconcile their roles with the emotional weight of the testimony. The judge, tasked with making a fair and just decision, found himself at a crossroads, aware that the outcome would have lasting repercussions, not just for the girl but for her family and the community at large. The complexity of the situation was further compounded by the conflicting narratives presented by both sides, each arguing passionately for their perspective. This clash of viewpoints highlighted the often overlooked nuances in cases involving family dynamics and child welfare. In the midst of the unfolding drama, the audience was reminded of the broader societal implications of such cases. The intersection of law, morality, and human emotion became increasingly apparent, prompting a deeper reflection on the responsibilities of those in power. The courtroom, a place typically associated with order and justice, transformed into a battleground of personal stories and emotional truths. As the girl's testimony drew to a close, the weight of her words lingered in the air, leaving an indelible mark on everyone present. As the case approached its resolution, the tension remained palpable. The judge's deliberation would not only determine the fate of one girl, but also serve as a commentary on the values upheld by the legal system. The audience held its breath, anticipating a decision that could either affirm the importance of listening to the vulnerable or reinforce the often rigid structures of authority. Ultimately, the resolution would reveal whether compassion and understanding could prevail in a system that often prioritizes rules over relationships. The outcome loomed large, promising to resonate far beyond the courtroom walls and into the lives of all involved. In a gripping courtroom drama, the unexpected testimony of a young girl left everyone in the room reeling, highlighting the complexities surrounding her custody case. The judge's order to remove her from her father's care was rooted in serious allegations that required thorough examination. As the girl took the stand, her words painted a vivid picture of her experiences, compelling the court to grapple with the emotional and psychological ramifications of the situation. This moment not only underscored the importance of listening to the voices of children in legal matters, but also illuminated the need for a sensitive approach to family dynamics in custody disputes. To effectively address the challenges raised by this case, it is crucial to implement a multifaceted strategy that prioritizes the well-being of the child while ensuring fair treatment for all parties involved. First, establishing a comprehensive support system for the girl should be a priority. This includes engaging child psychologists who can provide emotional support and guidance throughout the legal process. Furthermore, involving child advocates can help ensure that her best interests are prioritized, allowing her to navigate the complexities of the situation with a trusted ally by her side. These professionals can facilitate open communication, helping her articulate her feelings and experiences in a safe environment. In tandem with emotional support, it's essential to conduct a thorough investigation into the allegations presented in court. This should involve gathering testimonies from family members, teachers, and friends who can provide insights into the girl's home life and interactions with her father. By compiling a comprehensive picture of the family dynamics, the court can make informed decisions that reflect the realities of the situation. Additionally, utilizing mediation services can foster constructive dialogue between the parents, encouraging them to collaboratively explore solutions that prioritize their daughter's welfare. This approach not only alleviates the adversarial nature of custody disputes, but also empowers parents to take an active role in shaping their child's future. As the case unfolds, it is vital to maintain transparency and open lines of communication among all stakeholders involved. Regular updates should be provided to the girl's support team, ensuring that everyone is aligned in their efforts to advocate for her best interests. Establishing a feedback loop where the girl can express her feelings about the process will also help in tailoring the approach to her unique needs. Furthermore, community resources should be leveraged to provide additional support, including parenting classes and workshops that can equip both parents with the tools necessary for fostering a positive environment for their daughter. In conclusion, the shocking testimony of the young girl serves as a crucial reminder of the importance of prioritizing the voices of children in custody cases. By implementing a comprehensive support system, conducting thorough investigations, and fostering open communication, we can create a framework that not only addresses the immediate concerns, but also lays the groundwork for healthier family relationships in the future. It is imperative that all parties come together with a shared commitment to the girl's well-being, ensuring that her needs are at the forefront of every decision made. The time for action is now. Let us advocate for a future where every child feels safe, heard, and supported. In the courtroom, a palpable tension hung in the air as the girl took the stand, her small frame dwarfed by the imposing presence of the judge and the gathered audience. Her voice trembled at first, but as she began to share her story, the atmosphere shifted. Each word she uttered peeled back layers of misunderstanding, revealing not just her personal struggle, but the broader implications of a system designed to protect. The audience, initially skeptical, found themselves captivated by her honesty and bravery. They were confronted with the harsh realities of her experiences, forcing them to reevaluate their preconceived notions. The judge, too, seemed moved, recognizing that the case extended beyond legalities. It was a matter of human dignity and the urgent need for compassion in the face of adversity. As the proceedings unfolded, the narrative wove together the complexities of familial bonds, societal expectations, and the often overlooked voices of the vulnerable. The girl's testimony illuminated the stark contrast between her innocence and the harsh judgments cast upon her. It was a moment of reckoning for everyone present, urging them to consider not just the legal ramifications, but the moral obligations that come with wielding authority. The court, a place typically associated with rigid rules and cold decisions, transformed into a crucible of empathy. By the end of her testimony, the girl had not only articulated her pain, but had also sparked a collective introspection among those who listened. They were compelled to reflect on the power dynamics at play and the importance of listening to those who are often silenced. In this poignant moment, the narrative transcended the confines of the courtroom, resonating with a universal truth. The strength found in vulnerability can ignite change. The girl's courage became a beacon, illuminating the path for others who may feel trapped in their circumstances. Her story served as a reminder that every voice matters, and that the act of speaking out can challenge the status quo. As the court adjourned, the echoes of her words lingered, urging all to carry forward the lessons learned. In a world where the complexities of human experience often go unacknowledged, her testimony was a clarion call for empathy, understanding, and action. It underscored the notion that true justice is not merely about legal outcomes, but about recognizing our shared humanity and the responsibility we hold to uplift those who are marginalized. In embracing this collective responsibility, we can foster a society where compassion reigns and every individual's story is valued.